I'm trying out my new mic because some of the places that I go, the acoustics are not good. And so then when we're out there on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, you can't hardly understand what we're teaching. Well, you know, I'm real Southern, and it's hard sometimes to understand Southern. I'm going to give all y'all a Southern dictionary on what words mean in Southern, because they really mean what we're saying. I love it when I think of a slang word. I'm not talking about cussing now. But a slang word, and I go look it up, and it really means exactly what I was saying. It may be Greek to you, but it's real to the dictionary where you look up slang words. And so today is a new day. I've been battling and warring. How many's been in warfare? Be real now. I don't want you just being religious and playing like you got it all together. God's got it together, but you know you don't. And so I know I don't. So I battle. I warred all night last night. I'm tired today because I have an enemy that wants to take what belongs to me. He wants to steal what's mine. My health, my strength, my mind. He wants to make me not willing to stand up. You know, he wants us to be a weakling. Now, as Brian has been teaching here, a lot of the things that are being taught shows how big God is and how weak we are. And in this is in Numbers 13, and we're going to see in Numbers 13 that in 17, we're going to see how God works and how we work. See, many times I step out in the things of God, but the enemy wants to camouflage things. He wants to lie, and he wants to cheat. And so I've got to realize that, and this is what I will be fighting, is an enemy that doesn't play fair. I want you to know your enemy does not play fair. If you expect him to, you need to get rid of false speculation. So we see, and Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go into where? The mountain. He wasn't going into the valley. He was going into the mountain to check out things out and to see if the land, see what it is. See, you need to check things out that's going on to see what the land is. And the people, not just the land, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. Now, do you check things out when the Lord's sending you out to do something? When the enemy's coming against you, are you checking it out? Or do you just blame God? It's God's fault. That's what most people does. Well, you got an enemy, honey. You got an enemy that's after your soul, that's after your finances, that's after your family. And we got to wake up, church. It's time the church quits having a pity party. Why isn't God doing something? God's saying, why aren't you doing something? He's already done it. And he is sitting at the right hand of Father God. Are we truly seated with him and in him? Because God, Jesus would not allow what we were allowing on the earth. He didn't allow the sickness and disease. He didn't allow the demons to take over. He spoke to them and said, come out. Why are we not doing that? We've become so lazy. So lazy. Now I want you to realize that God's the head. And I want you to just see a head. Nobody. Nobody. Just Jesus the head. And you say, that will be enough. Will it? Will it? He's the head, but we are the body. Now, look at me. This is just my head. How much can my head do? I can mouth off. These girls know I can mouth off. That's my head. But what if my body does not obey what my mouth says, what my head says? I'll be just a big mouth, and I know a lot of people that's a big mouth, but there's no power behind the mouth. I'm not saying Jesus don't have power in his own, but he has set it up that you are partnering with him. You are to do what his word says. And when we do that, you know, things happen. Things change. Now, I woke up the other day. I was going to Miami. I woke up and I couldn't even walk. My foot, I couldn't take a step. And first thing I thought of, I won't go to Miami. I'll just call them up. I'll cop out. I got a pain. I'll cop out of the trip. But if any of you know me, if I have to crawl, I'll go. So I started praying, and I called my family, and I said, pray for my foot. You know, can't walk. I laid hands on it. You got to have prayer warriors. You got to have people that knows how to pray and are willing to war. I don't want nobody on my team that don't know how to war. I don't want anybody that don't know how to use the sword. You know, how to speak and command demons to flee. I don't want you on my team. You're just not going to be good to me if you are not willing to war. And so here Moses said, he sent out these spies, and he said, see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And what the land is. What is this land? See, God had promised a people. Many of you had promises that God has promised you, either prophetically, in dreams and visions. God has a lot of ways of speaking to his children. See, I know my grandsons, and I know how to talk to them. I know how to talk to my son. And so I got to find out about this land that I'm going to possess. See, they were given a land to what? Possess. To live there, keep the devil off their land, keep that enemy out. They were given prosperity. But if you don't know the land and the people, you're not going to know how to be prosperous. You won't know what jobs are available. You won't know where to invest. So you've got to check things out around you and see what is going on. And whether it be good or bad, honey, I don't want to fight for land that's bad. See if it's good or bad, and what cities they be that they dwell in, whether it's tents or in strongholds. You'll fight different if they're in tents than if they're a fortified city and a stronghold. See, we pull down strongholds. We find out who we're fighting when a battle's going on, whether it's the principalities and the powers in high places in the second heaven, or whether it's the little demon peons down here, whether it's a familiar spirit monitoring spirits. How do I war? How do I fight? How do I take the land? And it says here, whether there be wood therein or not. I just bought a new old house. Have you ever bought something new old? You know. And so part of the house up in the top got rotten wood. Well, we knew that. We had it inspected. But now I'm battling the insurance that I paid a year for, you know, to be able to get a mortgage. I had to pay the whole year. I couldn't pay monthly payments like I like to do. You know, I don't want you having a big chunk of my money. I'll give you a little bit of loan. But sometimes you can't do that. They won't let you. And so, because that part is not completed yet. But when they went to inspect it, they thought it was a block house. The wood therein. You understand? The wood therein. So they saw it was a wood house. Now I got a bill. I already paid it, my insurance for a year. But because they saw it was a wood house, guess what? I got a bill that I owed more money. Well, I paid it in full for a year. How can they cancel me? They can't. They can't. See, I can keep saying that and not pay that money extra. And I don't have any insurance. You can't fight a battle that you can't win. You learn about what's going on, how to handle things. You live in this world that is fallen, but we're the king's kids. But do you think a king don't have to ever war and fight? You better look at David. David didn't go to war with his men. And that's when he sinned, because he saw Bathsheba taking a bath. Whew, if he'd have been where he ought to been, he wouldn't have seen that and been tempted. Some of us are not where we ought to be, sugar. Then we blame God. It's God's fault. No, God didn't make him look at her. Do you see? If he'd have been where he should have been. So we see, and the wood therein or not. And be you of good courage. Woo! You think God didn't speak that for a purpose? When God tells you to be strong and be courageous, guess what you're fixing to find out? There's going to be giants in the land. Woo-hoo! There's going to be a warfare with your mind of whether I'm going to take the land because God said so, or am I going to give up on the land that he was giving? He was giving it to the children of Israel, but they had to war and fight for it. They had to have faith. They had to believe. And it said, be of good courage and bring the fruit of the land. How can you bring the fruit of the land if there's no fruit there? Do you understand? Our eyes will see things, and we can have courage and take the land, or we can be negative like they were and say, oh, there's giants there. See, we speak negatively over our blessings when God says be of good courage. It says, now the time was the time of first ripe grapes. See, it was harvest time. It was time of abundance. But they could either believe that they couldn't conquer the giants. They saw themselves as grasshoppers. Now I want you, because we're teaching today on, does God really love me? Does God really want me to prosper? And it's a choice of my mind of what I choose. Does he want me healed? I got to see myself healed. I had to see my foot healed so I could walk. You know. And so we see, so they went up and searched the land. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. That's a long time. You know, they were weary and tired. They had been traveling for 40 days. Don't you know they were exhausted? And some of them was coming back with a negative report. 10 of them. 2 was coming back with the positive. We can do it. Now, my grandson and myself, we're 2 warriors. My oldest grandson. Now, he can get nasty talking, and I could say, oh, baby, oh, you said that dirty word. You can't talk like that. But Grandma stood there, and whatever he said, I was standing with him. Dirty words and all. I wasn't saying them. Because we had bought a camper. And for 4 months we have fought. The first camper had grass growing inside. And they were supposed to fix it. And they would pretend they had fixed it. Now this is a big camper place. I mean, huge. Everywhere. And so we'd come and check it. It wouldn't be fixed. They would give us a snow job. Do y'all know what a snow job is? And we'd say, no, we're not taking it. For 4 months, I paid payments and didn't have a camper. 4 months that I paid my monthly payment. And I had nothing. Nothing. But my grandson was calling, honey, the highest in power for that company. And he would tell them how it would be. We would not take it. We went through about 3 campers. No, this is not the one. So he finally found one in another state, and by then they were so tired of him and me standing. And I said, I'm a minister, and him talking dirty. I'm a minister, this is my grandson. Grandma's proud of him. Not of the words, but because if they could have split us, I can put 1,000. Me and him can put 10,000 demons to flight. So whatever he says, I'm a minister. I'm a woman of God. Well, yesterday we brought it home. We got a far superior camper than we had bargained for. And we came home with some money. Guess what? 4 payments that I had paid. 4 payments. They had took out of everything out of our trade-in camper. Some things that their grandpa Bob and Neil that we had in there to use to jack it up and all that stuff, that men has. Even one of my daughter-in-law's brother that is dead. You think we take money off the dead man's eyes? They used to put money on the eyes to keep them shut, and people would come steal that. So 2 men, we were fighting for the belongings of 2 men that I don't know what happened to them. If they were stolen, if somebody took them home. But we had to check for all that stuff. Do you understand? You got to fight for what's yours. You got to war. You got to take the land. You got to possess the land. You got to hold on to the promises of God. I don't care how it looks. I'd be so tired, and Jason would be so tired of the war. But honey, they would have gave us anything yesterday. I mean, just let's get rid of these 2. Whatever it takes, let's get rid of these, because corporate is on their side. Do you understand? But I had something greater. Jason's got something greater, and that's the Lord God on our side, and He fights mine and your battle. But guess who He uses? Jason, Juanita, standing there while my boy's talking dirty. But you know what? When I've got something I've got to fight, I want me a man. How many of y'all, if I was going to hit you, How many of you would be too concerned over that? My grandboys used to say it was like a flea hitting them, you know. But you get a young man like Jason, that, honey, he goes for hide, you know. So this little old lady and this strong young man, whew, we come in and fight the battle. We come in and do the weapons of warfare that belongs to our God. Our God is an awesome God. Now see, I could look at me and think my God doesn't love me because I've had 4 months of war. Jason could look at God and say, God don't love me because I've had to battle and war. But you know what? You'll go to my grandson's house and see my new camper. I can tell you, oh, God loves me, and you'll believe it. God will win the battle if you'll stay true to Him and not believe Satan's lies that God don't love you and it's His fault. We knew whose fault it was, so we went to corporate. We had to get somebody higher than us. We had to convince somebody that had more power than us. And it was corporate. Over this big campground, camp where they sell the RVs and trailers. See, you got to quit blaming God. You got to blame Satan. And if it's your fault, sugar, straighten up. Get forgiveness of your sins. Get rid of your demons. Jesus don't have any demons. And so we see, and they told him and said, we came unto the land whither thou sentest us. We were sent, me and Jason. And surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. We knew this campground was a big corporation. We went there, and we knew they had campers. That's what they do. We knew they had RVs. That's what they sell. So we didn't go into a place to get something they didn't have. And it says, nevertheless, the people be strong that dwells in the land. See, they got their eyes on the people, on the giants. They saw themselves like grasshoppers compared to these huge men. This was a huge corporation. Do you understand? And we could have said, oh, we can't win this battle. We can't win it. They're too big for us. There's too many of them. And it says, nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled, they're fortified. and very great. You see all the positive things they were saying against their own riches. God had said, this is your land. But the enemy was saying, it's too big for you. It's too strong for you. It's too walled for you. And they're very great. And moreover, we saw that enemy there. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once. Let us, all those negative reports were given. But Caleb took a stand and said, let us go up. When? At once. Immediately. And possess it. Well, baby, how you going to possess it if you don't take it? How are you going to say, this is mine, if you are not willing to take and do the battle, whatever it is, to accomplish? Do you think I could, or Jason and I could have brought that camper home if we hadn't won the battle? We had to win the battle before it was ours. So they brought this evil report. What kind of an evil report are you speaking? What kind of an evil thing that you speak over your own things that God says you can possess it, it is yours? Are you just going to give up and not fight and war? So they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. Our eyes are seeing it, and we can't do it. 10 was giving a bad report. But the 2 that gave the positive report said, we can do it. See, in childhood, you may have felt like you didn't count. You may always think, I can't accomplish this. I can't do this. I can't ever own my own house. I can't ever buy a good vehicle. I've got to keep junk that breaks down all the time. Do you understand? I had a double wide that hailstorm beat it all to pieces, Shuka. And I got some insurance money. Instead of fixing it because it was an 84, I thought, I'm going to keep this money. Because I've tried to sell that double wide, and baby, you couldn't give it away. I had to give it to Neil that's dead now And then I had to buy it back after he died. Do you understand? You give it to somebody, then you got to buy it back after they're dead because they don't have a will. Do you think I don't know what I'm talking about? Walk in my shoes just a little bit, and you will know. And so, that very double wide that I gave away had to buy back. When the prices went up, I was able to sell it. Put the money in my pocket, sugar. I already had insurance money in my pocket. Now, I'm going to sell it. Do you understand? I got a leak while I was working. Tore up all the bathroom there, got wet, and everything got soaking wet. Well, I'm a little old 87-year-old widow. What can I do? What can I do? Everybody wants me to go home and sit and be crippled. Oh, Juanita, you can't do that. You can't ride the roads. Who's driving you? I said, I'm not Miss Daisy. I don't need you to drive me. You understand how the enemy will rob what belongs to you? So I got some more insurance money from the leak. But now nobody wants a leaky double wide. My grandson come in and fixed that floor a little bit with a little bit of money out of my pocket. Not much now, I can't have much. And I sold the double wide. I put a higher price on it and sold it, and the people didn't even try to get me to come down on it. What did I do with it? I bought me a house that I can have church in a 2-car garage. Got a patio that we can barbecue. See, I say, God give me a place that I can have ministry. God give it all on a half acre, and we've named it God's half acre. So I want you to realize whatever you're going through, you're going to have to fight. But don't fight God, fight the devil. The God of this world is your enemy. And God will move for you. It may take you 4 months if you're willing to fight. Some things I have battled for years. But I've battled, I warred. So out there on Facebook, if any of you feel like you're little in the enemy's eyes, you're little in your own eyes, and you're saying, we can't take this land. We cannot do it. I ask you to read the word that I just read to you. And you will see that God will use you to accomplish His will for you right here on the earth. God is your healer. God will deliver you. He will set you free. I don't care how big things look. You've got to take your stand and allow God to be God. And recognize Satan, that is your lion, a lion spirit. That's what the word said, that there was sent out a lion spirit to deceive. So you got to think, is this a lion spirit that is lying to me? Because our God is an awesome God. And He will bring you and I forth very victorious. So we love you out there. If you want to support this ministry, you can go there on our website and you can give there. Or you can send it to P.O. Box 44, Lake Placid, Florida, 33862. There is, at the bottom of the page, there is a place for your prayer requests or your praise reports. Now, we'll be in Lake Placid next weekend. And we ask you to come. It'll be Saturday at 10 o'clock. You can go on Facebook. There is a flyer there that gives you the address. I was called night before last there in Lake Placid. And someone screaming, I want to give my heart to God. I want you to come to my house, and I want to give my heart to God. And she called me. She wouldn't give up because I was doing some things, and I didn't get the call until I listened to my voicemail. And she said, I'm going to keep calling. See, some of us are going to have to get desperate and let God take over and take control, because we've made a mess out of us being in control. But I didn't know her address, so I called, but she didn't answer. I, went and tried to find out the address. Well, she called me back and gave me the address, and she said, I'm calling in the big guns. I'm getting others to come because I want to do the work of the Lord. I want to give my heart to God, and I want to do the work of the Lord. So I went to her house in Highway Park. And another big gun. It was me and another big gun, two big guns that I had ministered with before. And honey, she received the Lord, and a lot of demons came out. We need to puke them up. We need to get rid of these demons in us. Mean business. Sell yourself out to the Lord to do His work. Because demons are deceivers and liars. So that's what we do in this ministry. We teach you and train you in how to be a minister. We have a school. If you're over in this area and you want to get your license, Minna and Brian, through our ministry, you can get your school. They'll keep your hours, or you can keep them. And, you need to get your credibility. And so we're seeing what God is doing. So we love you out there on Facebook. Till next time, God bless you.